Welcome to a deep thought about something really important, and I know it's top of mind for you, our listener, from the material you've shared.
Hmm.
Unlocking your full potential.
Yeah,
It seems like you've been really thinking a lot about success lately.
definitely.
You've given us some seriously fascinating resources to dig into, and they all kind of point to this core idea, the power of our own minds.
Hmm.
So get ready for some major aha moments as we dive deep into this world of mindset and everything that goes with it. You ready to unlock some serious potential?
Absolutely. I think what's striking right from the start is how much your sources emphasize that what's going on inside our heads is like the main engine driving everything.
Yeah.
It's not just about what's happening around us, but more about how we see ourselves and what we believe we can actually achieve. It's pretty powerful stuff.
Okay, so let's start with what seems to be the bedrock of it all, mindset.
Yeah,
This material you've given us really puts a spotlight on mindset as this belief system that shapes absolutely everything. Our thoughts, our feelings, and the actions we take. And it draws this really important line between two types of mindsets, a fixed mindset and a growth mindset.
exactly. You know, if we kind of connect this to what we often see in psychology research, the fixed mindset is all about this idea that our talents and abilities are basically set in stone,
Hmm.
almost like they're just traits we're born with, and that's it. So, in that kind of framework, challenges can feel really scary because they might show what people see as their limits, you know?
Right, it's that whole I'm just not cut out for this kind of feeling and then maybe giving up too easily.
Exactly.
But then you have this completely opposite perspective, the growth mindset.
Right.
And this is where things get really interesting because it says that our abilities are totally not fixed.
Yeah.
They can actually be developed, made stronger, and really expanded through effort and practice.
Totally. And what's so cool is how differently challenges are seen through this growth mindset lens.
Yeah.
Instead of being threats, they're actually seen as chances to stretch and learn new things. Setbacks aren't like the end of the world. They're actually valuable info that can help us tweak our approach and get better.
So our listener, as you're going through all this material you've given us, which of these mindsets feels more familiar to you? Or maybe which one do you aspire to have? Because the really empowering message here is that mindset isn't permanent.
Right.
We can actually choose to cultivate a growth mindset.
Mm-hmm.
It's about shifting that inner voice we all have.
Yeah, and that brings up a really important point about how much control we have in this whole process.
Hmm.
Your sources really emphasize that developing a growth mindset isn't something that just happens. It takes effort and a willingness to step outside our comfort zones
Right.
and to see effort not just as proof of what we can do now, but as the actual path to mastering something.
Now, life doesn't always go as planned.
Right, definitely not.
That's where resilience comes in.
Yeah.
Your material defines it as not avoiding the tough stuff, because let's face it, that's not realistic.
Yeah.
It's more about being able to bounce back when those challenges do hit.
What's fascinating about resilience, based on research, is that it's not something only certain people have.
Right.
Your sources actually suggest it's a skill we can build.
Hmm.
Having a positive outlook, focusing on our strengths, and even remembering our past wins can give us this inner strength to draw on when things get rough. And having supportive people around us is super important too, which your material highlights a lot.
Totally. Having those people who believe in you, especially when you might be doubting yourself, can make all the difference. And the message here is actually really hopeful. Setbacks, even though they can feel huge at the time, are temporary.
Yeah.
Resilience is what helps us see beyond that immediate difficulty.
And tying that back to unlocking our potential, resilience is like the engine that keeps us going on that growth journey.
Right.
Without the ability to recover and learn from tough times, reaching our full potential would be so much harder.
Absolutely. Now let's talk about a combo that your sources say is really powerful. Positive thinking and self-discipline. What they make clear is that positive thinking isn't about ignoring problems or pretending everything's okay.
Yeah.
It's more about choosing to approach challenges with a constructive and optimistic view, believing that you can find solutions.
That's a really key point. It's not about being unrealistically optimistic.
Right.
It's about having a proactive and grounded belief that you can handle things. And self-discipline is like the essential partner here. It's what keeps us focused on our big goals, even when we're tempted to do things that are more immediately satisfying.
Exactly. It's about making those tough choices in the now that line up with the future you want. And when you combine that optimistic belief with the self-discipline to stay on track, It's like this unstoppable force pushing you towards your goals.
Absolutely. Positive thinking gives us the fuel, and self-discipline is like the steering wheel that keeps us moving in the right direction. They work together.
This next part is super insightful. It's about practical ways to cultivate success,
Yeah.
gratitude, and visualization. Your material explains gratitude as this deliberate act of focusing on the good things, almost like it can attract more good things.
What's really interesting here is how gratitude subtly shifts our perspective. By noticing and appreciating the good stuff, big or small, we're training our brains to be more tuned in to the positive.
Right.
And tons of studies show that can have a real impact on our overall well-being.
Yeah. And then there's visualization, which is all about creating this super clear mental picture of what you want to achieve.
Yeah.
It's not just wishing. It's like seeing yourself actually achieving your goals and feeling those emotions of success. The material you shared suggests that this can actually program our subconscious minds.
Exactly. By doing these detailed mental rehearsals of success, we're building confidence and making our goals super clear in our minds. It can even make us more likely to spot and grab opportunities that match what we're visualizing.
Now, to see how these ideas play out in real life, your material brought up a really compelling story, Steve Jobs. It's a powerful reminder that even incredibly successful people face setbacks.
Right.
Getting kicked out of Apple in 1985, the company he co-founded, that's a major blow.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And what makes this story so powerful is what happened next. Instead of letting that setback define him, Jobs started NextT.
Yeah.
And it's important to note that this wasn't a failure period for him. NextT's tech was eventually bought by Apple, which led to his incredible comeback.
And what a comeback it was.
Yeah.
Apple then launched a bunch of game-changing products, the iPod, iPhone, iPad. They became legendary. It really shows that setbacks don't have to be the end. They can be turning points that lead to even greater things.
It's a perfect example of resilience, a growth mindset, and learning from what might seem like a total failure.
Which leads us to this crucial idea of embracing failure itself.
Right.
Your material talks about this fear we all have and presents failure not as something to avoid, but as a necessary part of success.
What's really insightful is how they reframe failure.
Yeah.
Instead of seeing it as a judgment of our abilities, we're encouraged to see it as valuable info. Think about Thomas Edison's famous quote about finding 10,000 ways that won't work while making the light bulb.
Right. It really changes your perspective.
Yeah,
Each failed attempt wasn't a dead end, but a step closer.
exactly.
It's about taking time to figure out what went wrong and using that to change your approach.
Yeah,
The main point is that almost everyone who's achieved big things has also had their share of stumbles and setbacks.
and if we connect that back to the growth mindset, failure is just part of the growth process.
Right.
It's not something to be afraid of, but something to learn from.
Finally, the material you gave us talks about something that's often overlooked but super important. The people we surround ourselves with.
Yeah,
They can have a huge impact on our mindset and our success.
for sure. You know, your sources highlight the difference between being around negative, doubtful people versus those who are positive, supportive, and believe in our dreams. The effect of our social environment is huge. It can either boost us up or hold us back.
It's so true. If you're constantly hearing negativity, it can easily creep into your own thinking and chip away at your self-belief.
Right.
But being around encouraging people who see your potential can be super uplifting and motivating.
Your material makes a great point. We become like the people we spend the most time with.
Yeah,
So choosing our circle wisely is a powerful move.
definitely. Our social environment can either make things easier and help us when things are tough, or it can create roadblocks and hurt our confidence without us even realizing it.
So as we wrap up this deep thought, the main message that comes through from your material is that unlocking your potential isn't about finding a magic formula.
Right.
It's a journey of having a growth mindset, believing you can learn and grow, and pushing through challenges.
Exactly. It's about building resilience,
Yeah.
having a positive but realistic view of life,
Mm.
being disciplined to reach your goals, and surrounding yourself with supportive people.
And maybe most importantly, it's about changing how we see failure.
Not as a sign of our worth, but as a teacher that helps us learn and grow.
All these sources you've shared paint a really optimistic picture. They suggest that we all have the power to achieve great things, and that it's largely driven by the mindset we choose to have.
Absolutely. Well, thanks so much for joining us on this deep thought today.
It's been a really fascinating look at these ideas.
If you enjoyed this deep thought and want to explore more, please like and subscribe to the Deep Thought Podcast.
And be sure to check out our other podcasts for more discussions on all sorts of interesting topics.
We'll leave some helpful links below on these topics if you want to learn even more.
Yeah, definitely check those out.
Thanks for listening.